one and all, and welcome back to Final Drive Simulation. Hello everyone, and welcome to Final Drive Sim Racing. And I'd say we're back. I'm back, but we're back this week. But I'm back after a hiatus last week, and we had our very talented co-coms of Aaron and Dougie taking over from me and doing a fantastic job from what I've heard. But we're back this week. I'm back this week. Sorry, I keep saying we're. Endurance racing again, and we are Season 3, Round 3, Kyalami. So in great track, and really looking forward to it. So just to remind you of the format: 15 minutes qualifying, 80 minutes race, and variable weather and conditions. Which adds a bit of excitement to it, as always. So we are down in South Africa, and your comms team is myself there, Mike Bullen. We don't have Dougie today. He is prior engaged, so it was my week off last week, and it's his week off this week. Aaron, is your week off next week?
I know, I need to book it in on the holiday planner, don't I?
You do, mate. You're slacking a bit. But yeah, I'm back, and some great racing in the sprint races last week from what I've heard. Like I say, I haven't had the chance to see it yet. It was late getting uploaded. We couldn't go live due to the technical constraints of YouTube, etc. But we're back live this week. It feels good to be back live, and some great racing from what I've heard last week. So Rich Arnold finishing up in 4th, I believe, wasn't it, in race 1, I think, and you had some other interesting results. And how was the reverse grid? Your reverse grid situation.
It kind of went a little bit funny. A couple of the guys started from the pit lane, and we're not quite sure why. We don't know if it was something to do with them not readying up in time, but what we did see with the tricky conditions was that it was a lot harder to pass, and especially with ballast kicking in. There was only one guy it didn't seem to affect, and that was Alex Kingston, who just carved his way through the pack. Right. But everyone else seemed to... It wasn't as easy as last season, let's say, but it made for an interesting race in the end. Like I said, I look forward to watching it back once I get 5 minutes. It's been absolutely bonkers since I got back off holidays, but I will give it a watch once I get a chance. But just to take a quick look at the calendar, we can see we are on round 3 of Kyalami tonight. And just to give you a little update on Mr. Kingston, he is currently top of our Drivers' Championship. So he is in first place, ahead of Adam Foster by 14 points. And Kastarish in 3rd. Kastarish was top in this practice session last time I had the opportunity to check. So, 2 of the new guys right at the top of the league there, with Adam Foster, our double defending champion, splitting them there. And down towards the bottom of the table, you've got your Scott, your Mark Shepherd, Paul Prescott there as well. Damien Humphries only done 1 race so far, as he was on holidays with me last week. So we were together at Nürburgring along with his brother Ash. We were all out there together, so that was good fun. But some new drivers in there as well, which is great to see. We look forward to seeing the fruits of everyone's labour. So just to show you the Baltic Bronze League there as well, Zuba is currently top of that, joint with Kevin Dehan, and the Legacy League then, Kastaresh is top ahead of John Beaton, and that is that. So just going to shut that down and share my screen so Aaron can see some racing, because it is useful if you can see what you're talking about, so I am told. So let us go to
the race, and once again, Streamlabs has completely reset all of my stuff. So bear with me while I just get that working. And I don't know why it does this, but we have got sound this week at least, Aaron. I'm not completely blind or deaf, I should say.
That's a good point. I mean, I could hear you last week. It was the stream who couldn't, apparently. So
yes,
bodes well.
yes. I mean, obviously our audio is through Discord, and then but the actual Streamlabs had muted me for some reason. It was obviously tired of the sound of my voice. But anyway, we got that working. There we are, and our graphics are back up and running now. Fantastic. So we can see there is just 7 minutes left of practice as it stands. And obviously can't read too much into these practice times, can we? As there's drivers who might have been doing race runs, some might have been doing quali runs. It's almost impossible to tell, really, isn't it?
No, absolutely. One thing, just as a complete side note, one thing to note is, as of this week, Mike, Kevin DeHaan has swapped cars. He is now in an Aston Martin, which of course resets his points to 0. So that's just a little something to look out for. I don't quite have the timings loaded up yet, but I was going to ask you, where is he currently in the practice leaderboard?
Well, funny you should say that. He's first.
Wow.
With a 42.4. Like I said, you can't read too much into it, as we stated. No. But, based on so far, he's ahead of Castarish, ahead of Kingston, well, ahead of everyone, obviously. But just as he's first, not to. But just stating the obvious, really, that he's ahead of some very, very quick drivers. In our usual sort of people. But Rich Arnold up in 6th as well at the moment. Bart Tonk's up in 4th, doing very well. But like I say, this is practice. Crunch time comes in a few minutes' time when that quali session starts. That's when stuff gets real. But
definitely,
yeah, Kyalami, a tricky little circuit. We had the pleasure of doing an endurance race around here, didn't we, in the off season? Me and you were teammates for that one in a driver swap. We didn't have the best of times, but it was certainly an enjoyable race. But a tricky circuit to do an endurance race on, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think we said this at the time. It's just because there's not really much room for error, nor is the room to sort of relax. You've got maybe 2 or 3 short straights. Even, I mean, the start straight isn't really that long, so you're constantly on the limit, and it's not exactly an easy track. There's a lot of corners where you can take multiple lines in, and a lot of area to lose time. So it's probably the first track that we've got a lot of experience collectively talking about.
Yeah, it makes a change, doesn't it? Yeah. Normally we haven't got a clue. There we go. Sorry, it's just reset, and quali is now starting. So we'll keep an eye on who's going out. Who's going out first? That is Davis is going out first. So we'll jump on with him, watch him on his out lap, and maybe we'll jump on board with him for his first flying lap and see how it goes. But yeah, it is nice, that we've spent the off season doing a bit of racing with the guys, getting to know them better, and getting a feel for the some of the different tracks. And we were in the Honda that day, and it shows that the Honda definitely has pace in the right hands, just by Rich Arnold's performance both last week and so far this week.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like we said before, Donington was maybe just an off week for Rich and Alan as well. I don't think it was a fantastic week for Alan. And it was a complete total bounce back last week. I don't know if the wet conditions had anything to do with that or what, but Rich was saying he just felt so much more at home in the car compared to Donington, and obviously that's reflective in the practice sessions. So clearly we are just talentless, and these guys know what they're doing.
Yes, there is that. There's a reason we're in the comms box. No, I am joking, of course. But I mean, Donington is a very bumpy track, isn't it? It's a very old school circuit, and one thing the Honda does not like is bumps. Hence, you must avoid curbs at all cost when you're in the Honda, because otherwise it will bite you in the behind. But we're just getting ready for Alan's quick lap, so I'm going to jump into the onboard, and Aaron, you can talk us around the lap of Kyalami.
Okie dokie, and we start on the start-finish straight. Now, it wasn't quite on the limit there, he didn't use all of the track, but it's a wee little kink right down into what is effectively turn 2, but it's the first braking zone, looking for that 100 metre marker board, which he braked perfectly on. So easy to lose time here. You gain time actually taking a tighter apex as we build up into the second of the straights. Very difficult curve to take in the Honda, that it really unsettles the car. As we build up, he shifts into third gear into fourth. As we build up now into the middle part of the lap. Very sort of tricky corner this. The car likes to understeer onto the curb, which can really unsettle the Honda. Alan's really ventured too far wide, and now we enter what would be known as the spin zone for the Honda, because this is an area of track where it does benefit taking the curb, but you risk unsettling the car a lot. And this seems to be the area where you can make up the most time due to the way that the line is in the corner. You can see that Alan really started towards what looked like the inside of the curb, but it actually ended up being a late apex because of the shape of the corner. And go back down the hill as we have I believe a fast right-hander coming up. After this one, there's like a little kink before we get back to the start-finish straight. So far so good though. Looks like a nice tidy lap. There it is, there's a little kink. So easy to run wide like Alan has, and that's going to compromise his lap time. But he takes a nice tight line into the last corner, which is what you want to do for a lap of Kyalami.
Yes, nicely done, my friend. And it's a tricky little sod, this circuit, and that's what we were alluding to. That little snap that Alan had there is exactly the problem with this circuit. Is it's just so full on all the time, and it's so easy just to have that little mistake, a little bit too much curb, a little bit of oversteer, and all of a sudden you've lost half a second. So it is a tricky little sod. Let's put it that way.
And it is so tempting as well to take the curves because you know that that's where the time is. But in a car like the Honda, it's either make or break. You either nail it and you do gain all that time, or if you lose it, you are losing it hard. And I was very surprised that Alan saved that.
Yeah, he did well. In his defence, he did very well and still put a reasonable lap time in as well. So. But he is about a second and a half off a pole lap at the moment. Kevin DeHaan proving that practice lap was not nonsense. It looks like a decent lap as he is still the only man in the 42s at the moment and still top of the charts with Adam Foster.
I suspect that time to come down. Speaking to some of the guys midweek, I believe, now this mic will sound illegal, I believe some of the guys were doing 41s and we were barely scraping 43s.
That is disgusting, as you say that, with because does a 42.4, so I mean he's he's almost there. He's half a second away already, but these guys only just finding their feet and just getting their bearings. So it's early days for this session.
Absolutely.
Plenty of time yet for these guys to make an impact. So
I have been sort of advised as well to just keep an eye out on the Aston Martin's pace in general. It seems to be the car to watch this season, and I think Dominic Ingle and Alex Kingston collectively will probably be up there tonight with speaking with a couple of drivers midweek.
Yeah, I mean, I was deep in conversation with the Humphreys brothers as we were on holidays together this year. That sounds a little strange, but it was a racing holiday to Belgium and Germany and Spa-Francorchamps and the Nürburgring. But yeah, they were saying the Aston with the latest software update and the tweak to the balance of performance, the Aston appears to be the much like the BMW was in that first season when it was just all dominating. So it looks like the Aston is going to be the car to beat. So I think that is clearly why people like Kevin Dahan have been so keen to switch cars. Birkhouse is currently top though. He's improved on his time again. He's down to a 142.3. Adam Foster 0.4 back in second at the moment. So still no time from the likes of Kingston, Castares. So we're still waiting for those to settle up. But yeah, Birkhouse the man to beat at the moment, and clearly out in front by 0.4 of a second. So a fair gap out in front. What we talked about yet? Lloyd Reed nearly a second off the pace. He is right up there though, not too far behind the top three at the moment. Trying to find some extra time. He's on an out lap at the moment. I think, no, he is on a lap actually. Apologies, he's just up on his time, not by much, but he is just a smidge. Graham Morris also up on his time, and if he carries this on, it will put him down into the 42s. And only 3 drivers can say that at the moment, Daz.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Graham Morris is a driver to watch out for. You know, he had a really strong week last week. That was a lot of weeks for one sentence. But myself and Luke both commented on how consistent he was in both races. Of course, a reverse grid winner at Spa, as we probably mentioned a bit too much last week as well. But yeah, good to see him up in P4. I've heard that the McLaren's not the greatest car this season, so I think a 143 flat is actually a really good lap time. And even if he finds a 10 for 2 under that, that's a good improvement for the McLaren this year.
Yeah, he's doing well. If you compare him to a very experienced McLaren driver in Ash Humphreys, who's, as we watch Michael Mooney currently going around, a bit of traffic in front of him. Ash Humphreys currently in 6th, 0.3 behind Morris. So, yeah, Morris doing a stellar job, absolutely stellar. Kingston's first lap puts him on a 42.7, just a smidge faster than Foster, but still 0.4 off Birkhouse. So it looks like Birkhouse's racetrack, doesn't it? He looks like the man to beat at the moment.
It does, and if that pre-season endurance event taught us anything, it is that Wes was really strong here. So no surprise there actually. That Lamborghini in this track just seems to be a really good combination. It'll be interesting to see if Mr. Heaton, who I am terribly sorry for last week, I kept calling Mike, and I think it was just because I missed you, Mike.
Well,
I've got to be honest.
If you didn't miss me, I'd be annoyed. So at least I got a mention, despite the fact I wasn't here. So I'll take it. Take it all day.
Going back to Heaton, I mean Wes was unbelievable in that pre-season race. So Heaton to be 0.8 off, I think we can just expect that to improve. It seems to be a really good combination for driver, track and car for that Lamborghini.
Yeah, it certainly does. It looks a little bit formidable at the moment. Foster has chipped away another 10th, but it's still not enough to take that pole position away. We've got 4 minutes left in the session, which isn't a long time at all. So just looking for Ash Humphreys has got himself up to 5th, so he's improving. He's on a 43 flat now and goes ahead of Morris. So Ash finding his feet. He hasn't had any seat time since the end of last season, so he told me when we were on holidays together.
Wow.
So this is pretty much apart from maybe an hour or two this week just to shake off the rust. This is his first real outing since the end of season 2. So, wow, indeed, as Heaton does improve and goes up past Ash Humphries up into 5th and breaks into the 42s, much like you predicted just a few seconds ago. Do you know something I don't?
I tell you what, Mike, how close is it between everyone? I mean, the top 8 all within a second of each other.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, you've seen my message, sorry, have you, just to check?
Yes, I have.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Sorry, we're just privately talking behind your back, folks. It's nothing that concerns you. No, I was just providing Aaron with my IP address so he can see the data like I can. I mean, Kingston's improving, but again, he doesn't. Oh, he is well up on this. Let's join Kingston actually, because he was showing us purple then, but now he's back down to green. I do love this software. It sort of flashes purple when somebody looks like they're going to take the pole, which is quite exciting for a moment. But he's back down to green now, so he's made a little mistake somewhere.
Just a note, Mike. Obviously, there is ballast that was applicable last week and this week, and a note that Alex Kingston has carried maximum ballast for the last 2 weeks and has still looked very, very, very much the guy to beat.
I mean, that's quite impressive. And as you say that, he takes provisional pole by a 100th. Sorry, I couldn't get
100. Yeah, I think it's 1,000.
That's what I was trying to. I was trying to get my my wording right, and it just wasn't happening. Yes, he takes a pole by 100th of a second, which is nigh on nothing. So the question now is, has Birkhouse got a lap in him? At the moment, he's pretty much dead on a dead heat with his previous lap, and not improving. But it's not going to take much of an improvement. Just one corner slightly better than the time before will be enough to get him provisional pole. But he's coming towards the end of the lap. Is he going to?
It's going to be the make or break. He's just lost a lot of time there.
Yeah.
Oh, actually,
he might just get it back.
Down there.
He's up. He's down. I think he's just down. There's a minute left, so he'll have a chance to have another go at it if he's got enough fuel in the car, and I'm sure he will have a damn good go at it. We'll just stick with this at the moment because nobody else quite looks like getting close to these top 2. But
tell you what, as you say that though, Mike, Tahan was 3/10 up there, so we'll keep an eye up for Tahan as well as Wes.
Yeah, Wes a 10th up at the moment. That would be a purple lap if he can get it over the line. So we're keeping a good eye on it. He doesn't need much, as you said. 100th of a second is, less than a blink of an eye for him. And Kastarish in 3rd now. I think he's just put a big improvement on. So Adam Foster down in 4th. But yeah, Wes needs next to nothing to take this. So this is what it looks like on board the Lamborghini. He heads down into the hairpin. Take a very different line to what we saw from Davis earlier. Much tighter line, wasn't it, there for Birkhouse?
It seems to be the 2 kind of lines, and it does seem to be car dependent on what type of line you take. He's just got a load of understeer. Yeah,
he's got 2 cars in front of him, which I think are giving him a bit of dirty
He's still up though, Mike. He's still up.
He is up. Is he going to take it? But this is the beauty. This is what we wanted to see with the introduction of things like ballast. It just gives us that even racing. But as we say that, Kingston is also up on his lap. So Wes does take provisional pole. He takes the checker flag. That is the end. But Kingston is also up on his time. Last we checked, he is at 10th up. That's not going to be enough to take pole position. He needs a 10th and a half now. Wes still currently on pole position, but there is still time for Kingston to get that. But the fact that Kingston isn't running away with it is because of the introduction of ballast. It's just evened the field out a little bit and made it close, which is exactly the type of thing we want to see. We want to see nice close racing, and it works a treat for the Touring Car League, doesn't it, Aaron?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
I am going to
sorry,
hold my breath
yeah,
because he's up.
purple.
He is
He's
up.
purple.
Oh, it's an identical time.
So Wes Bakehouse takes the pole because he did the time first. And that is absolutely bonkers. Just seen a message, Dominic Ingle missed quali, so he will start from the back. But we've got 21 drivers out there, I believe, ready to give us some entertainment.
I do not know if your camera is still on me, but my jaw is on the floor. I can't believe what we just witnessed.
It isn't, but it can be. Should we go back to multi-screen just so you can see Aaron's jaw? Yeah. It can't see. It can't see you because I'm streaming, aren't I? So yeah. Unfortunately, it's not there. It's not there. But we assure you, Aaron's jaw is on the floor. Yeah. Wow. I mean, identical times. Absolutely bonkers session. But yeah. There we go. We heard a little plonk. Richard Arnold, I believe, has joined us.
Oh, I've missed that voice.
Oh, I missed you too, my friend. Only a little bit, though.
Only a tiny bit. You were having too much fun with it.
I was having way too much fun, my friend. Way too much fun. Didn't think about you once.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough.
Right, jokes aside, congratulations on a great couple of races last week. Like I said, I haven't had the chance, as I said earlier to the folks, to actually watch the races back yet because it's been bonkers since I got back, but I look forward to hopefully having some time this weekend. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And top end of the midfield today, is that about where you expected to be today, or was it the wet weather that helped you last week? Just,
Yeah, I mean, last week, as I said in the comms, I think I'm becoming a bit of a wet weather maestro. But in this, I'm actually a little bit disappointed with that. I thought I was going to be quicker. I'm certainly throwing some really good times in at practice, so I just couldn't get the sectors together. I think I had about another half a second in me. I just couldn't get it all to happen at the same time. Maybe pushing too hard or that kind of thing. But
I was going to say, because
Honda loves it round.
I was going to say you looked quick in practice. But I mean that bodes well for the race, I guess. You know the paces in the car, keeping it together. You can certainly move forward.
100%. Yeah, the Honda loves it here. We're really gelling with the Honda now. We've got a long race ahead of us. I like the track. So, yeah, everything's in the right place for it. I just need to keep it clean and move forward, like you say.
Well, good luck. I'm sure it will
you.
all go
Thank
your
you.
way, without question. Adam, 4th place. You're running some ballast as well, so you're pretty happy with that?
Yeah, the McLaren's not the greatest car around this track. It's probably one of the slowest, to be fair, and 25 kilos. So yeah, I'm happy with 4th. I did have a little bet on though that Wes would get pole.
How much have you made?
It was just if only I did put money on it.
I didn't realise we were famous enough to be taking bookies bets yet, but there we go. Anyway, do you hold position, or are we attacking? Are we still hoping for a podium?
Oh, we're attacking.
We're attacking.
Yeah.
Good man.
Hopefully, I'm going to get a nice slipstream off of Kingston, and you can brake later on this outside line. So we'll see.
Does
You've got to be careful to tell one.
Does ballast affect the tyres in these endurance races? So could we see more tyre wear from someone like Kingston with maximum ballast?
Yeah, me and Kingston will suffer with tyres. Mine die after about 20-25 minutes.
Right.
So, yeah, even if I do half and half with the pit stop, I'm going to be struggling with tyres for over half the race.
Anything
you might see me drop off halfway through.
Right, that's good to know. It gives us a bit of data. Anything from you, Aaron, before we let the drivers get on with their formation lap?
Not really, no. Adam stole my question about ballast. I know we spoke a little bit earlier in the week about how difficult it's been in the McLaren. The only thing I maybe have to add is Kevin De Haan in that Aston Martin seems to be a lot better off than what he was in the Porsche. Are you going to be looking in front of you, Adam, or are you going to be looking behind you?
Always looking in front.
Good lad,
Always
that's the right answer.
Forward.
Good lad.
Yeah, well, best of luck to you both. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to speaking to you in about 80 minutes' time.
Nice one, boys. Have a good one.
Cheers.
Speak to you then. Yeah, I say it every week, but it is always great to speak to drivers, get their insight, and it's interesting to hear the effect of the ballast. It isn't just about that weight for lap time, is it, Aaron? It affects the fuel, it affects the tyres.
Yeah, it's everything, isn't it? And I suppose in a sprint event, you're not really worrying about those things because you are just going as fast as you can. But in an endurance event like this, and a track as well, where you are relying really heavily on the tyres because of how many corners there is, this is probably one of the worst places to carry ballast and carry heavy ballast at that. So no surprises, and I think strategy, management, especially tyre management, is going to be really key, especially for someone like Kingston with the championship lead.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those tracks, isn't it? You're using the mechanical grip as opposed to your downforce and everything, as you say, because of the characteristics of the track. So it's gonna be telling. But it certainly is going to be telling. Just so you guys are aware, this race is starting at 4:10 in the morning. So it's just going to get lighter and warmer, which will also have an impact on the tyres. It's already 20-degree track temperature at 4 in the morning, so that's only going to go up. But we are getting close to that green light now. And there we have green light, and it's flat to the floor, and away they go down towards the first corner. What a start from Bakehouse. Really taking off there. Kingston, you can see, was a little bit bogged down. Foster having a good look up the inside now into what is, as Aaron described, the first braking zone, but not really the first corner. And Kingston suffering there, and offline. He's under loads of pressure now from Casatarish as well. Casatarish going up the inside of Kingston. Kingston hanging it around the outside, just trying to keep alongside so we can have the inside line for the next corner. Meanwhile, Beekhouse and Foster are disappearing into the distance. But Kingston very brave on the brakes there. Casatarish thinks better of it and drops in behind. Plenty of battles going on behind as well. Lloyd Reed under loads of pressure from Kevin Dehaan, who looks like a new driver in that Aston Martin. Ash Humphreys trying to stay out of trouble with Bartonks and just keep it nice and simple in these opening few laps, with Heaton putting pressure on him as well in the Lamborghini. Davis currently in 10th. Rich Arnold has maintained position in 14th, currently fighting with Dominic Ingle, who had to start at the back as he missed quali, but great move from Dom up the inside there. Fantastic stuff. And look at that, what a gaggle of cars. And Bartonks currently up to 6th. He's overtaken Reed. Reed drops down to 7th position. Beercow still out in front, but under pressure from Foster. And Kingston has now managed to shake off Casatarish, and will be looking to attack these two out in front. But as we said, he's got maximum ballast. That's not going to be an easy task. Beercow has a little bit more leeway with his weight there and the ability to look after his tyres. But fastest lap of the race so far there belongs to Adam Foster with a 1:48.2. But that is, of course, a rolling start lap, so we'll start to see some proper lap times come in now in the coming moments while they settle down into the race. Somebody's had an issue. I think Simpson might have had a bit of an off as he drops down to last place. Ingle has got up past Mooney. Let's just take a quick look at the replay and see what happened there.
Oh, it's so good having a replay.
So yeah, down into the first corner. He tried to have a look, and then I think Mooney was sort of defending thin air a bit, wasn't he, and just sort of outbroke himself a little bit in the end, and past goes Ingle. So there we go. Nice simple move for him.
Yeah, as textbook as that gets, really. I think I don't think it was a case of defending fresh air. I think Dominic probably went for the move quite late on, and it might have caught Michael a bit off guard. Not too sure. Might just have to ask them about that later on in the post-race interviews.
Well, he's on form because he's done another one. He's gone from 21st to 12th already, and he's already up past Dan Dan Stevens, who I believe has changed his livery because it's the Porsche's livery is not coming up. So I'll have to resync that ready for next week. But there he goes up the inside, and
He was absolutely rapid last week, and I don't think he qualified properly last week either.
he's having a bit of a nightmare, but he's certainly having some fun races while he's at it. So you can't deny him that. But Dom Ingle doing very well. Alan Davis has had an issue. He's dropped right down. Weavers and Prescott are in the pits. Big damage there for Prescott. Again, let's take a look at the replay. Let's go back and see if we can see what's happened. And I think it might have already happened at this point. I don't think the replay's managed to catch it. Mind you, his damage looks okay there. Whereas it certainly looked worse. Oh, yeah, he's hit the curb into the wall, and that is pretty much ruined his car. So we're not sure what happened with Weavers and Davis, but Davis has lost a load of positions.
I think Weavers had that damage from a lap prior, but I don't know why he had that damage.
Okay, and as we were saying, Alan Davis unfortunately has gone from 10th down to 18th position, which is disappointing. Rich Arnold still in 14th at the moment. Damien Humphries, one boy we haven't mentioned, somebody who I was driving the Nürburgring Nordschleife with just a few days ago, and now he's back into the virtual world. Yeah, you go for it, mate.
I'm just looking at the gaps, and Kingston, as you read my mind, is all over the back of Adam Foster.
He is, and I kind of knew what you were going to say, so I jumped straight to it. And my illustrious friend is correct.
It was like an office moment. Michael.
It certainly was.
Fastest lap of the race as well.
Yeah, so Foster having to, maybe not having to drop back from Beerkhaus, but has dropped back from Beerkhaus. Unclear whether that is because of Beerkhaus's pace or Adam having to defend to these cars behind him now. It's still super close, so many cars within a second of each other. I'm just going to leave this a moment just to look, as Ingle has just done another overtake, and he's now up into 9th position. And that was a mistake from Heaton there in the last corner, so Ingle with a much better drive out, and what I'm assuming is going to be a textbook overtake into the first braking zone. And there it is.
It's so easy to call that turn one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I'm taking your lead on that one and then going with first braking zone. But Dan Stevens and Mooney having a bit of a battle here. Let's just take a look at that replay and see. So
really good to see so many battles up and down the track though, and it not just being the guys at the front necessarily battling.
Yeah, so three-way here. You've got Honda, Merc and Porsche all battling away, and great commitment around the outside there for Mooney. And Dan Stevens drops a position, and then Rich Arnold getting interested in the back of him as well. But that was really good stuff, and you can see Damien Humphries in the background there also getting quite interested in that battle. But we go back to the battle at the front. As I say that, I think Lloyd Reed has had an off because Ash Humphries has just overtaken him. And there's issues at the back as well. There's been an accident. We're just going to go back. I'm not sure what has happened here. Ingle has just set the fastest lap of the race. I mean, that is no surprise. But let's just see what happened here with Humphries. He's battling away.
So far, nothing throughout the ordinary. Yep, I knew it was going to be that curve.
Yeah, he's hit the curb, then the driver behind hit him, so he was, a very unfortunate thing. Great battle now happening between Ingle and Reed, and it looks like he's going to get the overtake done at some point, but Reed's not going to make it easy for him.
No, we know how good of a racer and how clean Lloyd Reed is and how well respected he is by his peers, but Dominic Ingle going for the move. It's going to be around the outside into the heavy braking zone. Is he going to go for the switch back? Yes, he is. He's going to undercut Lloyd Reed, but he hasn't quite got the exit. Are they going to run side by side down the hill? No, he tucks back in. Sensible option from Dom there.
Yeah, it's a long race, and the last thing he wants to do is bin it. I mean, as we've just seen, you can bin it easily just by taking a curve too hard. The last thing you want to do is hit another driver, or he's trying to force mistakes, isn't he? He's all over the back of him.
Yeah, it feels like a case of when, not if, which we do say sometimes on this channel. So we flick back to the lead, though, Mike. What's happening at the front?
It's all super close now. Birkhouse has, I would say, made a mistake because he's lost a second. Mind you, his last lap was only 0.3 slower than Adam, but I think Kingston up Adam's backside has given Foster a bit of a boost, and now the two of them are lapping faster than Birkhouse. So I was going to say it looked like Wes might have made a mistake, but I think it could just be that these two are absolutely rapid at the moment. And all four of the first four cars are all within a second of each other. That is how close it is. And he's challenging him for the lead in to the left-hander. It's super close. Birkhouse defending. I don't know if Wes has got an issue, Wes Birkhouse out in the lead, but he just suddenly appears to have no pace. And they're swarming all over the back of him. They've all got to be careful.
That's a Tarash.
Oh, he makes the move on Kingston. Kingston having to get out of the throttle to avoid the back of Foster. And Casataris says, I'll have a go. But he doesn't quite make it stick. But cracking racing from his front guys. Just keep an eye. Dominic Ingle still behind Lloyd Reed and in 9th position as it stands. But Birkhouse getting a little bit of a breather now as the guys behind battle. And Kingston and Casataris swap in positions through various corners. But it is still as it was when we joined the battle. I think Matt Heaton's had a bit of an issue because he is suddenly down in 17th.
That's a shame.
It is a shame. He was driving very well, but he has, yes, just dropped down a good few positions, which is a shame. So it's just settled down a little bit with these front guys at the moment. Let's go back to this battle between Ingle and Reed. You said it's a matter of when, not if. But he still hasn't made a move stick, and it's been 2 laps since we were with them last, so...
I know, commentators curse. I have jinxed the overtake.
It's still not quite happening, and we're getting into the twisty part of the circuit here now, where it's going to be more and more difficult to make that stick. So we'll just jump back to the front guys now. You've got the front 3 cars all separated by half a second. It's bonkers close between these guys.
Yeah. Yes, it is. And all this battling, obviously, is only going to slow the pack down. It could bring the likes of Kevin DeHaan and Bart Tonks and Ash all back into play. It all depends on, really, if Adam starts battling Wes, because if those two guys start fighting each other, you're just going to slow the entire pack down.
Yeah, absolutely. He's made the move. He's made it stick. So we're just going to take a quick look at the replay and see how he achieved it. So he's just having a look up the inside. Can't make a move there. Down through the twisty section before the hairpin. He's right on him. Go for it.
I will say, Mike, when we drove the Honda, this was the place where it seemed to suffer the most. So I wonder if cars like the McLaren and the Honda that suffer a lot with bumps are vulnerable to overtakes in that spot. And I'm just wondering if the Audi maybe fits that bill as well.
Yeah, it could well be, and that could well be the case. But regardless, Dominic Ingle has got himself up to 8th. Absolutely stellar drive so far. 21st
Absolutely.
to 8th position in how many? 7 laps. He's absolutely flying. He's done the fastest lap of the race by an absolute country mile with a 42.1. He's almost in the 41s in race pace. I mean, he's absolutely flying out there. Humphrey's pretty close to Tonks. They're battling away, and still pretty close between these guys. But Casataris has joined the party again after dropping back by about a second. He's back, and it's super close between these front 4 once again. And we've seen some great racing already this season between these front guys. It's great to see them challenging each other in these conditions.
Absolutely, and like we said earlier, I mean, myself really, these guys cannot afford to make a mistake, because look at the background of that picture. You've got Kevin, you've got Bart, and you've got Ash, all there ready to pounce if any of these guys make an error. As we see Kingston trying to make a move around the outside, that was very bold.
Yeah, he's not afraid to have a go, and he strikes me as somebody who does not like coming second or third.
Then again, who does?
I'd give anything for a second or a third. My finishing positions are only a lot worse than that. That's for damn sure.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
But yeah, cracking racing again from these guys. I wonder, playing a bit of devil's advocate, as I like to do, you know, playing the old tactical mind. Birkhouse, is he drawing them in to get them to use their tyres quicker with the ballast on board, and then, you know, all of a sudden after 20 minutes he's got lots of tyres left and they've got none?
You can't rule it out, can you, really? Because the two guys behind him are the two heaviest guys in championship. So if you're Wes and you've got a brain, you're thinking, well, I'll just match the guys behind me and let them wear the tyres out, and I'll just disappear into the distance, exactly as you say, and hopefully Kasatarash ends up mixing it with those guys, and before you know where you are, you're pulling out a second a lap. I think I genuinely think that that's what he's doing, and I wholeheartedly agree with what you've just said. It's a bit tinfoil hat, but it makes perfect sense. Because Wes's lap times aren't drastically bad, but they're pretty consistent.
Yeah, and when you think about it, you know, we spoke to Foster on the formation lap, and you know, he made it clear that after 20 to 25 minutes, his tyres are dead. So unless he wants to do 2 stops, which nobody wants to do when you lose a minute in the pit lane, he needs to look after his tyres to get to the 40-minute mark. Otherwise, he is going to be in trouble. So the good old ding-dong going on here between Humphreys and Ingalls. Here's Humphreys coming down towards the last few corners. He's battling away with Tonks and then runs a little wide. Ingle then in the Aston, taking a look.
I can't believe Dominic Ingle is nearly in the same frame as the leaders. Who'd have thought that?
Yeah, he's done a phenomenal job, and he has now made that move stick up past Humphreys and gets himself up into 7th, and he's not far away, as Aaron says, from joining this battle. And as these guys hold each other up, I mean, Ingle is lapping quicker than all of the guys ahead of him, quite considerably. Even in traffic he's doing mid-42s. So
there's only Kasatarash anywhere near his pace.
Yeah, totally, and that's only because he seems to drop back and give himself some breathing space, doesn't he, and then go again, whereas the other guys are just constantly battling. So yeah, I mean, I would not be surprised. I mean, I don't think Dom's got much, if any, ballast, has he?
No, I don't think he has any.
There's an accident in the background.
No, it's Bart Tonks.
Bart Tonks has had an accident.
Kevin DeHaan.
And let's just take a look back. We could just see it in the background. So DeHaan and Tonks having a good battle. You can see the front guys there. And that has promoted Dominic Ingle right up to 5th place already. And we're only 18 minutes into this race. Oh, he got onto the grass and he was just a passenger then, unfortunately. And that was
so unlucky, because he was going so well again. He had a similar thing happen last week, Mike. He was running really, really well and just had a little moment.
Yeah, shame for him. Just clipped the grass, didn't he? And it's just so easy to lose your traction then, and that's that. So big shame for him. Big shame.
Absolutely.
Anyway,
I mean, it all works into the hands of Dominic Ingle, though, who, as you pointed out, is now in P5 and only 5.3 seconds off the lead.
Yeah, which is not a lot when you are lapping half a second quicker than the guys ahead of you. And it's still an hour left of this race.
if we had anything proven in the first week as well, it's how much time you can gain and lose in the pits. I mean, look at the gap that the leaders had. I can't remember who won race 1 actually, but I just remember
Kingston, I think,
4
wasn't it?
guys. Ah, yes, it was. I just remember everybody being really close to the front, and then the pit stops happened, and it was complete role reversal, and Kingston walked away with it.
Yeah.
And who's to say that Dominic Ingle won't do that?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and like I said, he's got that gap down by nearly 2 seconds on this lap alone. These guys are battling away doing mid 43s. Meanwhile, Dom, he was slightly slower on that last lap because he had to slow down for that accident we saw. Oh, and I think the lead changed hands there momentarily. Foster just dipped ahead of Wes, but he's back behind over Foster going up the inside, and the cameraman's having a giraffe, man. And
He's done it though.
He's got himself. Oh, there's contact! Oh, there's contact! No!
No.
And Kingston and Casatarish go through, and Beerkaus makes contact with Foster. Oh, that is heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking. And Ingle now up into 4th and has caught. I mean, well, he's caught him. He's in it now. He's just set the fastest lap of the race, and all of a sudden he is in 4th position, and now within a second of the front tree. Because
Dominic Ingle doing his best Max Verstappen impression. Last to first challenge.
I mean,
last to first challenge.
It's practically identical to Spa-Francorchamps in the F1 race. It's basically the same thing. But oh, that was unbelievable, and you could see Wes just didn't get on the brakes in time, and yeah, not. I mean, there was nothing sinister or intentional about it. It was just so unfortunate, but I think
I can't believe we witnessed it.
Foster will have a bit of damage now. Yeah, I can't believe we caught it live on the stream. It's one of those things we usually miss, but we've got it this week. But yeah, Ingle looks absolutely alive in that car, and I think it's looking more and more like he was going to be the man to win this race.
Yeah, it's like we said earlier, it feels like a case of when, not if. But I did not think I'd be saying that for the lead of this race. Obviously, he has 3 cars to overtake, but my word, he's driving like a man possessed. I can't believe what we're witnessing. It's almost driving God. It's Hercules of the Aston Martin realm. I can't believe it. He's going to make the move. He's going to do it, Mike. He's going to go around the outside.
Great drive there, and Foster's not going to make it easy for him, but he concedes the corner. And what an overtake there from Dominic Ingle, who looks absolutely out of this world at the moment, and nobody can live with him. You know, his fastest lap time is nearly a second faster than the nearest guys to him. He's absolutely flying.
We are watching something special.
Yeah.
And I don't care if the people who watch this just race with us, if they're friends, if they know nothing, if they know everything. This has never, ever, ever happened. Ever. These cars, it's unheard of to be this quick and this far in front of anyone on this game, in GT cars, in real life, whether it's on Assetto Corsa, whether it's at an actual track. This kind of thing does not happen. He's overtaking them like it's an open wheel race. I can't believe what we're seeing, Mike.
Yeah, you're so right. It's unprecedented is the word, but what it feels like to me is we're back to the Dom of season 1 now. Dom couldn't compete in all the races in season 1, so he was never really in the title fight fully. But when he was in the Bentley, he was just on his day absolutely outstanding, and it feels like that Dom is back this season in this Aston Martin, and considering his performances when he hasn't been able to qualify like today and last week, it's just special to watch, isn't it?
I think we should just qualify ban him for the entire season at this rate. He's put on an absolute spectacle for us.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I need to catch my breath. I've got really excited about all of this.
It's like I say, it's amazing to witness. You know, the talent on show, and we say it time and time again. You know, this is sim racing, but these guys aren't sat there with a control pad and you know, 2 feet up on the couch. These are guys with proper pneumatic steering wheels. You know, sat in sim rigs and feeling pretty much as you can feel without being in a real car. So it takes some real talent to be able to race like this. That is for damn sure, and we are witnessing some very special drivers at the front of this grid.
100%. I think I keep seeing Ash Humphreys flirt with the back of Wes Beekhouse on the time delta, so I wonder if Wes picked up a little bit of damage with that moment with Adam.
Yeah, possibly. I think we've just missed an overtake, so I'm just going to take a look back. We are watching.
I know Zuba had an incident because the yellow flags came out, so we might see
That's
that. Yes.
what it was. So he just got a bit out of his shape. And Humphreys, who had that bit of an accident earlier on, but didn't seem to damage the car too badly. He hasn't had to pit stop for it anyway, but he gets himself back up into 13th place after a bit of a disastrous accident earlier on, but thankfully not too much damage on the car, and he's been able to crack on. Ingle now right on the back of Casataresh. Oh, on the grass.
Plenty of sparks there.
Yeah, he was on the grass. He was kicking up dust and sparks and all sorts, but he's just on the limit, isn't he? Every lap. I mean, a 42 flat the last time round, which is half a second faster than Casataresh. I mean, he's flying. I mean, he's a second, 1.3 seconds quicker than Foster, 1.5 seconds quicker than Beerhouse. Granted, those two probably have some damage after that accident, but even Humphreys following Beerhouse, you know, he's so fast, Ingle, compared to these guys. This is going to be some job for these front two to keep him behind for much longer. Oh, he's having a look at the inside already into the fast left-hander. What a move! If he can make it stick. Casataresh is not going to make it easy for him. Tries to pressure him under braking, but Ingle just having none of it. Even later on the brakes than Casataresh, and through the fast section and the back half of the circuit makes a move. I mean, you never see a move around there.
No. He's on all the parts of the racetrack that make a race driver wince. He's just using any part of the tarmac, anything that's black, and he just gets past. It's unbelievable. He asks the car, "Are we making this turn?" And the car says, "Yes, we are." "Are we making this overtake?" "Yes, we are." It's just, it's almost as if it's got an answer for everything that Dominic Ingle throws at it, and you can understand now why Kingston is able to run so well with the maximum ballast. I'd love to see a race between those two with no ballast.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we haven't really seen the best of Ingle. He hasn't been able to qualify and, you know, then start from the front and, you know, do all that wonderful stuff. So, yeah, this is kind of us witnessing him at his absolute best. But he's just on another planet at the moment. I mean, Kingston's pretty close to most of his lap times, but his last was a 42.1, but that was while Ingle was battling with Casataresh, so Ingle was slower on the last lap. So we'll see now. Will this gap come down? I mean, in theory it should. But Kingston, with that free air now, might just have got himself into a little groove. I guess time will tell very, very shortly.
Yes. You've got to think, though, and I didn't want to say this because I kind of don't want it to be true. How much has Dom Ingle took out of the tyres and out of the car to close down the amount of time he has to the leaders, you know? Are we seeing the true pace of everyone tonight? You know, Dom's quite capable and has proven of running in the really low 42s and the high 41s, which makes me think, is that purely just Dom? Or is everybody else sort of tyre managing and race managing and thinking of the bigger picture?
He went a little wide there, but he's just kept it going, and Humphries has managed to get past Bierkhaus, so let's. Oh, they're still battling away. It's still going on. He just gets up the inside, and Bierkhaus has to concede. Let's just take a quick look at the replay and see how he made that happen. Oh, Bierkhaus very wide, and that just allowed Ash alongside. And it looks like then they battled all the way down through the next couple of corners. Great racing from those two, but Bierkhaus running wide. So that puts Humphries on his, I think his season debut. I don't think he's raced so far this season, has he? Yeah, he missed the first race and he missed last week's. He was
Lloyd Reed passed as well, Mike.
Oh, Bierkhaus clearly with damage now after that big accident with Foster a few laps ago, and he's struggling. I mean, there's nothing hanging off the car, but it's clearly enough to hurt his tyres. But Casataris just lost a position to Foster. I think they may have made contact. I'm just going to take a look at the replay. So there's.
I wonder if traffic played a part in that.
So yeah, Casataris battling with the back marker.
He's flashing his
it.
lights.
Yeah. Oh, and then Foster made contact with the back marker. Oh, he's not going to be happy
Who
about
is that? Is it? It's not Simpson. No, it's not Simpson.
No,
Blue
it's
McLaren.
Jung. It's one of the new drivers, Junior. Kenny's Junior. He's a new driver, but Foster is now
yes.
up past Casataris and back up into third. So
He'll have some serious damage though now. He's had contact with Wes and now contact with Junior.
yeah, and of course that's going to make his pit stop even longer because he's going to have to fix that damage. So
and certainly not the type of damage you want when you're carrying ballast and you're already putting that strain on the car.
yeah. But yeah, to answer your question, yes, I think Dom probably has taken a lot out of the tyres, and just looking now, him and Alex Kingston are matching each other lap for lap pretty much for lap time, but there is only 9 minutes until the halfway point where most people will stop, sort of do half and half. So I would say he's going to have the advantage then towards the end of the race. Or now is Dom tyre saving, so we'll have much fresher tyres than Kingston towards the end, because Kingston obviously with the ballast will wear his tyres out quicker. We don't know what the answer is, but it'll certainly be interesting. Bierkhaus and Dehaan having a good old battle now as well. Let's just pop the replay back on. So Dehaan coming back through after his accident and battling away with Bierkhaus.
Oh, that looks like Junior again off the road.
Yeah, he's getting in the way a bit as the back marker, isn't he? And yeah, not intentional, I'm sure. It's just a learning curve for these drivers. When you're a back marker, it can be pretty full on when you've got cars trying to overtake and such. But yeah, it can. It's very easy to get that stuff wrong when you're not used to it. So there's a bit of an art to blue flags, isn't there?
There is. It's not easy. You have to have a lot of awareness as to what's going on around you and where to position the car.
Yeah. This seems to have just settled down for a moment. Dominic is a little bit quicker now. He seems to be finding time, but he's not quite in striking distance yet. So we'll just have a quick run through the field, because we haven't done that yet, and we haven't had a chance to sort of assess everybody's position. So you've got Alex Kingston in first, battling Dominic Ingle in second. Ingle started in 21st position, as he did not qualify, and is now in second, and we're not even at the halfway point of the race yet. Absolutely phenomenal drive so far from him. As I say that, Bierkhaus goes into the pits. So Foster in third at the moment, him and Bierkhaus battling for the lead. Made contact, Bierkhaus made contact with Foster and cost them both a lot of time. Castarish currently in 4th, Ashley Humphreys in 5th position in the 44 Gulf liveried McLaren. Lloyd Reed currently in 6th in the Audi. Kevin DeHaan is in 7th. Graham Morris 8th. Mooney 9th. Rich Arnold 10th. Damien Humphreys 11th. Dan Stevens is in 12th. Zuba in 13th. Alan Davis in 14th. In 15th. Beekhouse is in the pits doing his pit stop, and that will probably take a while as he's had a couple of bits of contact. But his total pit time as it stands is just shy of a minute, so it wasn't too bad for him actually. So you normally expect to lose about 60 seconds in total, and he lost 58 seconds, so not too bad. Weaver's in 18th at the moment, Simpson in 19th, Prescott in 20th, and Bart Tonks is in 21st. And I think he has retired because he's been in the pit for 6.5 minutes. So that was just a quick run through of the field there. So the pit stops will start now. We've seen the first one there from Beekhouse, so he is well behind now, currently down in 16th position. But all the other guys have yet to pit. Dahan now into the pits. He's doing his first pit stop. So this is where it gets sexy, isn't it, Aaron?
That's I think that's the perfect adjective to use. Yeah, this is make or break really. It totally boils down to this in an endurance race. Do you want to take us through Damo's mistake here, Mike?
Yeah, just saw that he'd had an off, so just thought we'd take a look at the replay. He is carrying slight damage from his accident earlier on. Looks like he just gets a little bit out of shape through the same corner, I think.
Oh, that's a weird one.
Yeah, it's one of those sort of. He almost did a full 360. So yeah, not. At least he hasn't picked up any damage from that, but. Yeah, one of those slow spins you can't stop, isn't it? One of those they're horrible things to have happen to you.
Yeah, it's one of the clumsy, heavy ones, isn't it? Where you can't really save it, but you know what's coming, and it just looks awful on camera.
Yeah, I mean, some cars you can go on, even in Formula cars to a degree. When you feel that oversteer, you can sort of rescue it. You know, whether it be, turn into it, put the throttle on or whatever, but with these you just can't. As soon as they go, it doesn't matter, brakes, throttle to steering, nothing works. You just had it.
Yeah,
which is fun.
I find it a lot easier to save the mid-engine cars, but that's purely because of physics, and I won't bore anyone with physics, but like you say, it's just because of the weight. It's the sheer weight of the car, and you're relying on the mechanics to save the car, not necessarily the aerodynamic grip of the car to bring it back. So if the mechanics are making the car slip, it's very difficult for the mechanics to then stop that slip as well.
Yeah, totally. And of course the Lexus we just saw do that being a front engine car, most of the weight being over the front axle. Well, of course, cause that type of thing to happen.
It, on that front axle.
It does, yeah. Absolutely.
Science 101 with the comms team.
Yes, we love a bit of science. We all watch Big Bang Theory, so we understand physics very well. And we don't watch it for pennies, nothing to do with penny. It's all for the science.
That's what we tell the children.
My name's Mike and I'm a pervert. Anyway.
This stream is rated E for everyone.
Beercoast back in the pits. And he's been in the pits for a while, so I think that might be the end of his race. Not entirely sure what's happening, but he is in the pits, and Kingston the first then of the front runners to go into the pits. So here is
importantly, Ingalls stays out.
Yeah, so here's what our questions will be answered, Aaron. Is has Ingalls saved enough tyres to, with clean air now, get into the high 41s and stay there for a few laps to stretch his legs and stretch a bit of a lead? He should have the track to himself pretty much, so let's see what happens.
We're going to find out. Let's keep an eye on those sector times. I mean, his last lap was a 42.5 and Kingston's was a 42.2, so not much between them. Importantly, we're going to see whether setup is how I'm trying to word this really a lot better than what I'm doing. I'm just thinking in terms of the sunset and the change of conditions. Are we going to see?
Well, the sun's coming up.
Anybody perhaps creep up?
Yeah, the sun's coming up, not going down. It's 5:30 in the morning, so it's only going to get brighter and hotter. But we are coming towards that halfway point. You can see lots of people now popping into the pits, but yes, sunrise rather than sunset, my friend. But your point is valid in that the track conditions will, of course, change. So yeah, you're right. You know, who's got their tyre pressures right in anticipation of that change in temperature and changing conditions and so on. So you know, and of course, hotter air, you know, hotter track, aerodynamics, the mechanical grip, everything changes. It's not just tyre temperatures. So yeah, he's now going into the pits. So he's only done the one lap. He's given himself one lap to try and stretch enough of a lead to get past. And where is Kingston? He's in 8th position at the moment. So we'll just join on with him. Let's go up to Helicam.
He needs the perfect stop in the box as well, Don, because you can lose so much time if you don't stop right on your mark.
Oh yeah, it can be 2, 3, you know, it can be as much as 5 seconds if you're far enough away, because you've got to reverse back until you're sort of at least close to the mark. And they'll
we know exactly. We know how critical that's going to be in a battle that's as close as this one is.
Definitely true. And here he comes around the last couple of corners. Dominic Ingle is still in the pits, and he should just be looking to exit the pits any moment now. I should be down towards the end of the pit lane if I've got my calculations correct. He should just be exiting the pits. There's Ingle. Oh, Kingston's done it. He's kept himself out in front. Only just, but Ingle with 1 second longer stop. So he didn't have a quicker stop. So it took him 1 second longer. So he had a worse stop. So he's now got 3 seconds to make up compared to Kingston, who had a very good outlap as well with some fresh tyres. But you know, let's not forget, folks, he's still got that ballast, which will come into play. And Ingle with no ballast and has been clearly the fastest man on track. So there is still plenty of time for this to change, and only 3 seconds. I mean, he's got that gap down a few times already today. So let us see how things pan out.
Yes, just trying to see if there's any on-track action. Casatarash finally boxes from the lead, so I think that leaves really Ash and Graham, doesn't it, of the last of the people to pit. So
yeah,
we are coming to the end of the pit phase.
Yeah, there's a couple of backmarkers who haven't pitted yet. Damien Humphries, Alan Davis, Dan Stevens and Zuba. They haven't yet made their pit stops, but so they're very much out of position. As it stands, Morris and Casatarash are now in the pits. So Humphries is your temporary leader as it stands. But Kingston and Ingle won't be too long before they retake the lead when Humphries does make his pit stop. Not many battles at the moment, as I say, the pit stops have sort of disturbed the natural order of things. So there's cars a bit sort of all over the place at the moment. Yeah, Wes Baker's still in the pits, as is Bartok, so they have both called it a day by the looks of it. Yeah, Wes on lap 19 and the leaders are on lap 24, so unfortunately that was it for Wes, which is a big shame because he was having such a good race and it looked like it was going to be his day. But yeah, that battle with Foster has proved to be the end of the matter for him. Speaking of Foster, where is he? 5th. Okay.
just shows as well, doesn't it, how quickly everything can change. You know, it was looking so good, and then over the course of about 2 or 3 laps, it just completely changed.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the moment, Kingston's stretching his legs away from Ingle as well. So, I mean, that gap has gone up to 4.1 seconds now. So, yeah, it's looking like Kingston does have the pace. But it'd be interesting to see how this develops now over the final 35 minutes. Kasatarish was only in the pits for 40 seconds, so he's come out in second. That's odd. I mean, that's nowhere near long enough. I mean, they're normally stationary for about 30 seconds. He was only stationary for 16 seconds. Well, isn't that bizarre?
I wonder if he's made a bit of an error with his refuel, or I'm just trying to think of plausible conclusions.
I'm wondering whether they've finally changed the software. I mean, I'm not aware because I've done one for a while, but where all pit stops used to be 30 seconds no matter what, have they changed that? So if you don't put fuel in, your pit stop is quicker, maybe? Because you can fuel a car to run for 80 minutes. So there's nothing to say he had to put fuel in. So if he has just stopped for tyres, I'd be interested in it. I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense. Because, I mean, at the moment, he's de facto leader, but Kingston not far behind him at the moment. But yeah, Kasatarish's pit stop, only 40 seconds as compared to 60 seconds for both Kingston and Ingle, or there or thereabouts. So, yeah, Kasatarish comes out in second position. Humphrey's yet to stop, still out in first, and going long with his strategy. But yeah,
a bit of a head scratcher.
Indeed, a mystery for us both. But there we go. I'm sure the answers will come to us, but I'm not sure. I mean, he's very fast, Kasatarish, but I'm not sure he's got the pace today to keep these two Astons behind. But certainly no
Kingston
slouch.
with the fastest lap as well.
I know we speak to him a fair bit, but a word of praise, probably pending commentator's curse for Mr. Richard Arnold, who has fought his way from 14th up into 8th position. It's a nice clean race so far. He's done his pit stop as well, so he's not out of position there. That is his race position. Yeah, 2.5 seconds behind Kevin DeHaan and 2.5 seconds ahead of Michael Mooney. So he's looks in a good position to pick up a good, decent haul of points there for Team Rad. So yeah, just a little mention for Richie, who appears to be having a very good race in the Honda. It's lovely to hear him and Alan are getting on so well with that car, because it is a car I love.
We have no Honda buyers on this channel. We have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, I am Honda biased. Hey, my ratty old Honda just took me into Germany and back, so and drove 3 racetracks while I was there. So she's a good old girl. Anyway, back to the racing. That's enough about me. Right, Ash is in the pits now, so he will drop some positions. So Kasatarish just coming through the final few complex of corners, still ahead of Kingston, but what is unclear is why his pit stop was 20 seconds shorter than everyone else's. So he clearly knows something we don't, but I don't know what that thing is.
I'm just keeping an eye on the gap back to Dom, because I'm just thinking, if these guys are battling so heavily, is that going to bring Dom Ingle back into play?
Yeah, I mean, Kasatarish has been overtaken, I think. I think we've just missed it. Apologies. We'll just take a look back at the replay, see if we can catch it into the first braking zone and around the outside in the Aston Martin, and takes the lead. So, yeah, fantastic.
He's not really dropped Kasatarash though, Kingston, has he? the Ferrari's sticking to the back of that Aston Martin.
It is, and yeah, I mean, looking at the lap times, I mean, Dominic Ingles' last lap was a 41.9, so again, he's the only one in the 41s, not by much, but he is in the 41s and no one else is, and he's half a second faster than Kingston on that last lap, and he's now only 2.5 seconds behind him, as opposed to the 4.5 seconds he was when they came out of the pits. So it looks like Dom is just getting his tyres into the window, and going for it.
It may well be that he just needed a little bit longer to get the tyres in the window. Could have slightly different PSIs to Kingston.
Yeah, and we've got back marker here again.
Such a risky place to park that.
It is. You can see Ingle in the background.
Oh, there was contact.
With.
Oh, that's really slowed up Dom.
Did Caceres make contact with the back marker? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they just banged doors.
This-
It was a bit like a touring car bang of doors.
Let's take a look
I
back.
think Damo's had an incident, Mike. He's causing yellows as well. You'll see it just here on the curb. There you go.
Oh, what is he doing?
And then that really
was
slowed up
so
Dom,
close, yeah. I mean, to be fair, Caceres lost a good second there, so I mean, it's sort of neutralised itself a little bit, but yeah, interestingly, Kingston's actually done the fastest lap of the race now with a 41.6, but his last couple of laps have been much slower.
I did call that earlier, actually.
Oh, did you? Apologies.
I think there was an overtake, so it's all right. But a 41.6 and a 41. What was Dom's best? I can't see it with the way I've got the time set up.
His best was a 41.9. Something.
Right, so there's about 3/10 in it then, isn't there, really?
Yes, but Dom is more consistently doing those laps, whereas that has kind of been a one-off for Alex, hasn't it? Because most of his laps have been sort of mid-42. So Dom's definitely got the pace, but he's got a stubborn dark Ferrari to get past first. And then we can resume the battle for the lead, but we still got 30 minutes to go. A lot can happen, and as you can see, back markers are a bit of an issue in this race, which we've seen in the past in endurance races. They can determine the outcome of a race, in the worst possible way. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but they've certainly affected these front 3 and 4 drivers so far, haven't they?
Yeah, and to be honest, it's benefited our race leader more than anything, hasn't it? It's slowed up these two guys out of everyone. And that was a very late move from Dom. That was very Daniel Ricciardo-esque almost.
It was, and we caught it live.
Yes.
We didn't even need the replay.
Oh, fantastic.
We like it. Martin Tyler would be proud.
You would. And we're live. Oh, God. It's the dad jokes for me. It's the dad jokes.
We love the dad jokes. We love it. But yeah.
I tell you what, back to the consistency thing though, Mike, with what you're on about. Kingston with a 42.3 and Ingle with a 41.9.
Yeah.
So I think we could start to see that gap to the leader climb back down.
Yeah, he's lost about a second to Kingston, obviously during that overtake to Caceres, but he's got plenty of pace in him to come back at the sister Aston in front. So yeah, shout out to Ash Humphreys, who currently runs in 5th position on season debut, and after a couple of months out of sim racing, so doing a stellar job in an unfavoured McLaren this season. So kudos to him. Only 10 seconds off Adam Foster, who has been in the wars a bit, granted, but he's done his pit stop since, and has obviously got a well car again now after having some damage. So yeah, just kudos to Humphreys. Yeah, we've mentioned Rich Arnold. Michael Mooney having another solid race down in 9th, and just keeping an eye on some people. Matty Heaton, aka Mike, is currently in 12th. We probably, I would imagine, be a little bit disappointed, because I think he definitely had top 10 pace but he's a bit off that at the moment. 18 seconds off the top 10. So it's looking like he may have to settle for 11th. Alan Davis, who I know will be disappointed to be 12th, as his teammate is comfortably top 10. And Davis was looking pretty quick, but he had that spinneroonie early on. Has led him to him being a bit further down the order than he would like. Not much happening in terms of battles at the moment. The field is pretty spread, but we will keep an eye on it. So this question of Ingle catching Kingston is still the premier thing on our minds at the moment. 25 minutes ago, Az, what do you reckon? What's your call? Do you reckon he's going to get it done?
I do. I really do. I mean, I'll be honest. My gut's telling me no, but my head's telling me yeah. I think he'll do it.
All right, R. Kelly, calm down. It's the lesser-known version of bump and grind there. You know, his gut's telling him no, but his mind's telling him yes.
Oh God, we probably shouldn't condone R. Kelly with his
You've got to separate the man from the music. You've got to separate the man from the music.
I just think that we might see, instead of an early charge, we might see a late charge from Dom this time around. And I think Kingston, if anything, I can't see him getting much faster than what he's already done. But I can quite easily see Dom getting faster than what he's doing now, which is why I think it'll be in the last 5 minutes where this race is won. It won't be run like in the next 10 or in the next 5. It will be with 5 minutes to go. That'll be where the race is won.
Yeah, and when you think about it, that opening stint, I mean, after 30 minutes, you'd be still pumping in 41s. So we're only, 14, 15 minutes into this second stint. So he's still got plenty of life left in those tyres. He's proven that. And Kingston's tyres are only going to get worse quicker due to the ballast. So
that's what's in the back of my mind.
Yeah, and that's that's I know we've said it before, but that's exactly what the ballast is designed to do, isn't it? Make it harder for the guys who are naturally fast, and give them a challenge, and give other people a chance to challenge them.
Yeah, definitely. I think Dom's going to benefit from maybe he's having a bit of a poor race week. He didn't do particularly great in race 1 at Zolder, but that wasn't his fault. It was, I think, just the conditions. I think there was a bit of side-by-side contact, but that, and coupled with what happened at Donington's, giving him no ballast, and I think that's really going to benefit him in the coming rounds, because he's going to have quite a few weeks of no ballast if he keeps on winning and banging in the results. It's just going to make him a lot more comfortable, I think, and we saw this in our touring car league last season, that sometimes a worse start for someone who could quite easily be at the top actually ends up being a bit beneficial.
Yeah, totally. And speaking of the touring car league, the touring cars will be back on Wednesday. I'll be in the comments box. Alan will be in the driver's seat. He's in the Honda FK8. So TCSRL will be back with you from Wednesday, 8 o'clock. We'll be live on YouTube, so take a look and keep an eye out for us. And please go and find our YouTube channel, subscribe, and find TCSRL. And we look forward to sharing the touring car action with you on the coming Wednesday. So plenty of action in that league. It's pretty much 10 cars nose to tail for 15 minutes straight for 3 races in a row, week in, week out.
It's typical door banging touring cars, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I'll just put the graphic back up because you couldn't see most of it because I had it in the wrong position, so apologies for that. But great stuff, but great racing, very different type of racing to what we see in this GT category. But all the drivers pretty much holding station at the moment, and we do have this with the endurance races, don't we, Aaron, where eventually they do just sort of spread apart a little bit. But it's been immensely close for long periods of time, which you don't always see in endurance racing. So we're thankful for that, really, because it has given us some great racing, particularly in that first half.
Yeah, it's always the second half, isn't it, where there seems to be a bit more field spread. The opening stages of the race, and certainly the first stint, always seems to be the more entertaining part of it, or it seems to be the part. Oh, that was a little mistake there from Tom Inkle. A little bit less of that, young man. I want my prediction to come true.
But what's strange is sorry, finish your point first. Sorry.
I was just going to go back to what we were saying of how it seems to be that the field spread seems to happen in the second stint of the race.
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, I think, tiredness and inexperience and tyre wear and all these things all play a part in the second half, don't they? So, but yeah, what's interesting on the point of Dom going off there is that he's done that 4 or 5 times, but he seems to be able to keep his foot in. So the Aston is, I don't know, maybe it's the Martini livery part rally car, maybe, I don't know, but but it's he seems to be able to keep his foot in even when he dips onto the grass. And we saw, for example, Wes dipped onto the grass earlier in the Ferrari and went Spinaroonie. So yeah, interesting that the Aston has that ability to go onto the dirt and still keep their foot in.
Yeah, its ability to absorb bumps seems to be so much better than any other car, and I think that's why we're seeing it perform so well at tracks like Donington and tracks like Kyalami, where bumps are part of the nature of the track. I mean, you talk to Aston Martins and Kevin DeHaan, who's in a brand new car, is lapping incredibly well in an Aston Martin in P7 as well.
Very true. Just interestingly, Dom on that last lap took 8 tenths out of Kingston and is now within a second of the lead Aston Martin.
I think Kingston got a little bit stuck behind the demo coming back down the hill, because that's where a lot of that time seemed to disappear.
What did we say? Back markers will play a part, and there we go, they've played their part. So I like it when we know what we're talking about. It's good.
You're very true, Mike. Can you see on track who's ahead of the leaders, like on a little track map, or do you not have that?
I do, in fact, have that. And the number 5, which is Alan, I think, isn't it?
That's Alan.
Yeah, is the next car up on track in the Honda. So, and then the number 23, which I think is Dan Stevens. Is it? No, he's number 3, isn't he? Not 23. Who's number 23? Darrell Weavers. So yeah, it's Weavers and Davis are the next couple of cars ahead for these guys. So yes, I can see that. It's a cool little feature to have.
I'm just thinking, I was just trying to maybe see if there was like a gaggle of cars together, but there's not really, is there? That those two guys are quite spread out.
Yeah, they're spread out, and they're not even on the same lap, because I think Davis is about to lap Weavers, and then
right.
And this Matt Heaton is the next one up the road then. So yeah, they're pretty spread out. So with 18 minutes to go, I can't see backmarkers playing much of a part in terms of holding these guys up or anything much in the remainder of the race. But you never know, if people have accidents or offs, or after doing extra pit stop, all that can change. Oh, there he goes again, rallying. He loves getting the back end out on the grass, and I think somebody needs to tell him this is not Dirt Rally 2.0.
At least we know he's pushing the limits, Mike.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's good to see a driver, throw in absolutely everything that day. Not to the point where they throw it into a wall, but at least just absolutely giving it full beans in a controlled aggression, I think is the phrase I would use.
No, I agree. And interestingly enough, that gap just to the lead is coming down all the time, and it's 0.9, 0.8, 0.7. I feel like if he's taking that much out of him per lap, we might see the move for the lead come within the next 4 laps.
Yeah, it's
If
weird,
my
isn't
math
it?
doesn't fail me.
It's sort of come down and then it has sort of become a little bit static, but he was 2/10 quicker on that lap. But I think he's struggling when he gets into the real dirty air and then ends up dropping back a little bit. Difficult to tell, but we will obviously know because we're watching it. And when you watch something, you know.
If you know, you know.
And if you don't know, it's because you didn't watch
Now
it.
you know.
But now you know that. But yeah, you're right. It is coming down in certain sections, but then Kingston seems to get the better. But always gained loads of time through the fast right-handers there. Sorry, he's gained loads of time, and that gap's come right down now, less than half a second, according to the figures I've got in front of me. But then he's just had to back out of it through the twisty bit, and has lost a little bit more time. But
That's got to be ballast playing its part there, hasn't it?
You'd have to think so. I mean, there's just over 15 minutes left of this race. Those tyres have got to be crying out by now. Foster telling us the tyres on the McLaren were going off sort of after about 20 to 25 minutes. So we've had that now for this second stint. So Kingston's tyres have got to be on the verge of going off. So Dominic Ingle should have the advantage, but Kingston has proven himself.
Go a little bit wide.
Yeah, Kingston has proven himself this season to be formidable, though, hasn't he? So it's going to take something special for Ingle to overtake him and beat him.
Yeah, it is. I'm really Mike of getting excited because if Dom's pushing the track limits like he is, what I don't want to see is a drive-through penalty when it could be a really good result, because that would totally kill his position on track.
Yeah, very true. I mean, fingers crossed he hasn't actually pinged them. If you go wide, you have to gain to actually activate the track limit warning. So as long as he hasn't gained any time when going wide, he should be okay.
Yeah.
But yes, you are right. I mean, we saw it with Foster last season, didn't we? Where he was on the verge of a great result at. I think that might have been a Zolder as well, actually. And,
it happened at Zolder last week. He was on for a P2 and got a drive-through.
Oh, see, it's not the first time he's done it there. So, yeah, certain tracks, certain drivers, it's happened to me plenty of times. But
Cursed combinations.
yeah, we've all got them. Certain cars or certain drivers or certain tracks and whatever. They just don't go.
Seems to be trying to get a little bit creative with maybe he's filling the Aston Martin in the mirrors of Kingston there.
Yeah, he's having a good go. I don't know, I'm starting to feel like he just hasn't quite got an answer for Kingston's pace. Kingston's race pace, you've got to say, he doesn't always qualify on pole, as we saw today, and when he gets sort of stuck behind other cars, he seems to struggle a bit, but in free air, he looks pretty formidable, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's been faultless, hasn't he? Really, right from the start, he was in the mix with the leaders. He was right on the back of Adam. I think at the opening lap, actually, he looked a fair way off, but it very quickly changed.
Yeah, like I say,
think
he struggles in traffic, doesn't he? He seems to, but
yeah. I'm just thinking, like I said earlier, I feel like Kingston's pace will be fine until the last 5 minutes, and I think that'll be it. I think the tyres will say they've had enough.
well, that's what we're hoping for. Not that we want tyres to decide championships, but what we do want to see is different people winning races and having the opportunity. And as I said earlier, that is what the ballast is giving us here. It's giving us the opportunity to watch Dom really attack. And again, through that section, he's caught right up onto the back of him now. But this is the part where it's hard to follow. You'll have all that dirty air affecting the aerodynamics of the car and causing you to scrub wide.
Close.
But you are right, he's stayed close to you. You've got back marker just ahead as well, which is the one we mentioned earlier. It is the Honda of Davis, but it's not a problem at the moment, but he is getting closer. Again, its dirty air will start to affect Kingston and level the playing field a little bit between these two drivers, but he's managed to keep with him all the way through now, that section.
Take a much tighter line.
Kingston looking like he's under real pressure
he's
now.
track limits.
Which one? Ping track limits.
Dom's pink track limits. His time's gone red.
Oh yeah, I can see that now. Sorry, yeah, but he's still within him. I think he is proper putting the pressure on. He's getting.
We're going to see a
closer.
late dive.
He has a look.
Oh, he thought about it. He thought about it.
But, Davis does very well to get out of the way.
He's run wide. He's run a little bit wide.
Yeah, he's under proper pressure now, Kingston. And this is that part of the race, as my colleague was saying earlier, we expected the tyres to start to die. Is that what is happening here? Has Dom just been saving enough tyres to really attack Kingston for the remainder of this race, knowing he has that ballast on board? I think you've called it a blinder, mate.
He's able to take such a tighter line through that right-hander. Dominic can really, really hug the curb and the apex, but Alex has to let it hang out to dry a little bit. He just looks vulnerable. He looks so vulnerable through this tight and twisty section. I feel like he's got him covered on the straights, but if there's going to be a move, it feels like it's going to come at the end of that second straight, really, where that right-hander and Dom seems to gain all of the time.
I mean, there'll come a time where even the straights become a problem for him, won't they? Because if you're not getting the traction up the corner because your tyres are gone, of course that affects how you carry speed all the way down, doesn't it? So
yeah, absolutely. That's a perfectly valid point. And you've got to think as well, with the amount of time left and how quick the car Allen is Weaver's going to play a part in this. Could blue flag still determine the outcome of this race?
yeah, well, with 10 minutes to go, I'd say Weaver's is only a couple of seconds up the road, so you know, they are going to have to overtake Weaver's as well. You can see Weaver's in the background of the picture there, in the distance. So that is the next car that they are going to have to lap. And sorry, we haven't moved on to other cars for a little while, but there's just so much tension at the front of this race between these two drivers. And Kingston, you can see struggling for traction out of that out the second corner there. And the thing is, he's going to have to push the car harder, and the pressure will do that. The pressure will force mistakes, and that is where Ingle will be hoping to pounce. But I mean, they've got to say they're pretty evenly matched. Ingle definitely quicker at this point, but Ingle having the same problem that Kingston has when he's behind in the car, in that it looks like the Aston doesn't like being in traffic too much. I thought he was just going to lose it.
He thought about it.
I thought he was going to lose it.
I think what Dom's got to be really careful with is giving too much away. You know, if he shows where he's going to make his move, Alex might defend against it, but he's going to be really under pressure going down the hill here.
Switch back, and or Kingston perfectly places the car, but yeah,
Slipstream's going to be powerful.
You're completely right. Dom needs to keep him guessing, doesn't he? He needs to attack in different places every lap, as to not, give him any idea. Oh, and he's gone for it around the outside. Ooh. He's forced Kingston to brake early and take an even tighter line, and he gets himself up into the lead. And with just 9 minutes to go, Dominic Ingle takes the lead of this race for the first time, apart from the pit stop where Kingston pitted. This is the first genuine time that Dominic Ingle has taken the lead of this race. The man who started dead last after missing qualifying, and has overtaken every car on this circuit, is now up into first place.
Is it going to be too early, Mike? Is Weaver still going to play a part in this outcome of the race with 8 minutes to go?
Hopefully. I mean, Weaver's super experienced now. It's his third season. I mean, I'm hoping he's just going to get himself nice and cleanly out of the way, and not impact the result. But you're right. It just sort of, it depends where he does it. Will it cost Ingle more time than it costs Kingston? It's certainly not over, but you could see the pressure just building and building and building, and in the end he just forced his way past around the outside. Outstanding overtake.
Yeah, fantastic, and it wasn't the first time we've seen that move this race, so plenty of practice getting that one done, and nailed it to perfection. It couldn't have been done any better from Dom there. No,
and he's stretching a bit of a lead now. It's nearly a second already, so he's got a bit of a gap. And just to give you some context, the gap back to Casatarish is nearly 12 seconds now. Interestingly, he hasn't stopped again, so I think that was his one stop. but I think they must have done it so it adjusts the time, depending on what you do in the pit, which never used to be the case. So maybe he hasn't pitted again, but he's perhaps fuel saving and just trying to get to the end of the race.
Yeah, he's played an absolute blinder, really. It'd be a very good P3 if he pulls it off. I'm interested to see how it goes. There's only 7 minutes left, so it's nearly 2 minutes a lap. Probably three laps, maybe.
Yeah.
Roughly left.
Yeah, what are they? 140s. So 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, depending on when they cross the line. So just via my quick maths, but yes, not long for sure. Foster still in 4th and 10 seconds back from Castarish and 10 seconds ahead of Ash Humphries. So he's pretty much just waiting for the finish line now, and 4th position looks like is what it will be. Humphries, as we said, in the other McLaren in the 44 Gulf livery. He is currently in 5th, and a great return to racing for Ash, and I think he can be pretty proud of that, as can't he, because having not had any seat time for a few months, that's not a bad place to finish.
No, not at all. And it's a shame, really, that he's missed the first 2 races, because with a result like that in a McLaren that's not being particularly user-friendly, who knows what could have happened this season with Ash.
Yeah, and I think, this isn't even in question, because any other day, I think Ash would probably be one of our shouts for driver of the race, if not the shout. But there's absolutely no question who it's going to.
Absolutely.
We both know already. We haven't even discussed it, but we both know what each other's thinking there. It's not even in question. Lloyd having a great race. We haven't covered Lloyd a great deal. He has not really been involved in many battles. In a few early on that we caught, but he's sort of been on his own. But he's kept it nice and clean and safe, and finds himself in a very respectable 6. Which is good going for him since he moved to the Audi. That's about sort of the top end of where you'd expect him to be, in addition to all those new quick guys coming in as well. Obviously bumped a few people down the pecking order a little bit. Kevin DeHaan, he's had a couple of incidents, but overall you've got to say he's had a pretty good debut in Aston, and certainly fared better than his previous car. So yeah, look, a good one for him. Rich, as we said, having a very good race in the Honda. Currently finds himself in 8th position, and again, just one of those looking to get to the flag as soon as possible. Michael Mooney only 3.5 seconds further back in the Merc, having a good race. Again, that's again been about his pace this season, but it's not over. If he can put a bit of pressure on. His lap times are slightly quicker than Richard's, not enough, I don't think, to catch with a few laps to go, but you never know. Graham Morris finishes out the top 10 in the McLaren. Matt Heaton is 11th, as we said, probably be slightly disappointed with that. He definitely had the pace to finish top 10, but 11th, I guess, isn't a complete disaster. Alan Davis, who had a spin early on, has fought his way back up to 12th. Damon Humphries has had a few issues today and a couple of spins, but 13th, I suppose, not too bad a finish, all things considered. Dan Stevens, bit of a disappointing one for Dan. He had a great season last season, won the AM Championship and the Teams Championship with Foster as well, but it's not been his season, has it, Aaron? He's a little bit off the boil compared to, he finished the end of last season so strong, didn't he, with a couple of top 10s, and it just seems to, just not quite be on what he was last season.
Yeah, I wonder if it's anything to do with just the way the game updates, because he seems so on top of that Porsche, and it's just kind of not happened this season. So I wonder if the Porsche has been nerfed a little bit. Might explain why Kevin DeHaan's moved to the Aston Martin as well. Yeah,
it's happened to me. I drove the McLaren and it's just... Oh, look at that!
What a save!
I wonder if you know how they live in Tokyo. What a drift. Absolutely beautiful. It's happened to me in the McLaren. I drove it one season and it was beautiful, and then the next season it just basically was snapping on me every time I went anywhere near a corner. So I couldn't hit an apex in a million years. So it's just one of those things. It does happen. So fingers crossed it comes to him as the season goes on. But Zuba's had another eventful race, but not one to shout home about for him. Down in 15th. 16th for Weavers, struggling a little bit this season. He had a good season last year, battled for the M Championship, but he's back in the McLaren, and again with the McLaren having changed characteristics and BOP on the latest update means that he is struggling a little bit for form. Ben Simpson again back in the McLaren, down in 17th. Kenny's Jr., he's had a bit of an eventful one and a couple of incidents, but he's down in 18th, and it's a big learning curve for him, and he's doing really, really well. And it's always great to see new drivers come on board. That's what keeps us interested. And Paul Prescott, poor Paul, he's had a bit of a disaster. He's a couple of laps down, nearly 10 laps down in 19th position. But as we always say, people like him and Kenny's Jr. and Simpson and Darrell Weavers, just kudos, congratulations, just for keeping going. And you know, it's not easy when you're a couple of laps. Oh, to be fair, Weavers and Simpson are only one lap down, but yeah, Junior and Prescott, you know, what, 8, 9, 10 laps down. It's not easy to keep going, but to finish the race is, guess, my absolute respect, because they deserve it. And then,
well said, Mike. I think you summed that up perfectly there, mate.
Yeah, you know, it's just not an easy thing to do. We've all been there where you want to, you know, throw the steering wheel through the window and turn your PC off forever. But, you know, just to finish off our 2 retirees there of Bakehouse and Tonks. So we are within the last minute. So Ingle just coming towards the end to start what will be the last lap of the race. And one of the greatest victories. I'm not going to say anything.
Oh, Mike, Kingston in the pits.
Oh, Kingston in the pits. So his tyres are dead. So he's going to lose second position. I can only assume his tyres. He was a good 8 seconds further back.
It might be fuel. Could he be critical on fuel?
He could have underfueled. That is possible.
You can hang on with dead tyres, can't you? But you can't hang on with no fuel.
But that's going to give Casataris second, and Foster is going to go up into third, and Humphreys may even also get ahead of Kingston, who is just on the move. He's going to be very close. I think he's just got out ahead of Humphreys, but I can only assume it was fuel-based. And Rich Arnold has got ahead of Kevin DeHaan. Let's just take a look at the replay and see what's happened here. So here we are watching Rich.
Oh, I hope that blue flags don't play a part in this one.
I think DeHaan has got some damage because he's also lost a place to Michael Mooney as well. He's had to go into the pits.
Yeah.
Overtake achieved there. Again, could be another one in the Aston who was critical on fuel. Maybe he's underestimated his fuel. But yeah, it's a good move there by Richard Arnold, who gets himself up into a stellar 7th position. And DeHaan is in the pits and just exiting now. Matty Heaton might get that 10th after all. Oh, I think, yeah, he's got himself up into 10th, but he's got to stay ahead. But as we've been talking, that Dominic Ingle finishes the race and wins the Kyalami endurance race, and I'm speechless.
Well done.
What a drive. Absolutely phenomenal drive from last position to first. Casataris comes home in a stellar second. Adam Foster is going to cross the line in third. Kingston, who we think almost ran out of fuel there, had to do a quick splash and dash at the end, is going to come home in 4th position. Ash Humphreys with a stellar 5th on his return to the league after a long absence. Lloyd Reed with an outstanding 6th position, really well driven by Lloyd. Richard Arnold is looking like he's going to bring it home in 7th position, barring any disasters over the coming seconds. Michael Mooney did catch him, but not enough to take the position. So Michael Mooney will come home in 8th. Morris will come home in 9th. Matty Heaton is going to get his top 10 finish after all and come home in 10th.
That's a solid result for Matty Heaton. Really well done.
Yeah, good drive. I mean, like I say, I think he had a bit of an accident early on. He would have been comfortably in the top 10 without that, I think. But, you know, other people's issues and fueling or whatever, you know, it's led to its top 10 regardless, and a great finish for him. So
it'll mean a lot to Wes that as well, because that's points still for the team's championship, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And a shame Wes didn't get to finish the race. But there was, his head was obviously down after that accident, which was a huge shame. But your winner, as we said, is Dominic Ingle in the number 46 Aston Martin, and well, what a drive! Wow. I'm a bit speechless after that, to be honest. It's been a bit bonkers, but I'm just going to move over to the multi-screen, and hopefully then we can catch some of our drivers and our co-commentator. There he is, the beautiful faced Aaron Markham on screen. So, what a race. Just recap that for us. I mean, just wow.
I can't believe what... I am speechless. I can't believe what we just witnessed on stream.
I tell you what.
I mean, to just watch that live, mate, that was incredible.
It was. And I'm going to give you the honour of speaking to Mr. Devilfish, Mr. Dominic Ingle, and you can ask him the question you want to ask him. And congratulations, Dom. Aaron, over to you, mate.
Dom, well done. You undoubtedly got driver of the day. I've got to ask, mate, where did that come from? That was unbelievable.
Oh, man, I'm not sure. Well, to be fair, I like Kyalami. I've done some nice practice around here. Not loads, but just dialed in a setup really nicely. So I was absolutely gutted to miss quali. I was coaching my son's football and I was desperately trying to get back to do, even if I got one lap in, I thought I could get halfway up the grid. But I couldn't. So when I was starting from the back, I thought, well, just have to see what happens, you know. Yeah, and unbelievably, it just kind of all, I think, fell for me, to be honest, because even as I was coming through the field, a couple, you know, have a little off in front of me or something, and I just went for it, and oh, crazy, absolutely crazy. Towards the end of my first stint, my tyres had got way too hot, so in the pit stop I put them lower, which meant the first half of my second stint I was a bit slower. I wasn't quite on my normal pace, but then they came into the second half, which I think really helped, because that's when I was trying to pull Alex in. But yeah, I think there was the odd possible slight dive across a couple of people, so apologies if I did, but I just thought, sod it, I'm going for it tonight.
We caught a few of them, to be honest, and you made me look like a race god crystal ball man. Just the amount of predictions I made, and it kind of came true. I predicted that you'd get it done quite late on, and obviously changing your tyre pressures made that come true. And I also predicted that your tyres might have went off at the end of the first stint, so you made me look like I knew what I was talking about. But yeah, wow. I mean, I've never seen anything like that ever in sim racing, and I mean, we've got a really fast guy in one of our F1 leagues, and he kind of makes us all look a bit amateurs, but I mean, just to do it in a GT car, that was just something else, mate. So well done, good win, and yeah, deservedly driver of the race.
I hope you don't mind me saying, you look knackered.
I am knackered. I'm absolutely knackered. I literally felt like I did quali lap after lap. It was just, I think what really helped me, to be honest, was I realised when Wes was at the front for the first sort of 10-15 laps, I think Alex and who was second in the end? Was it
Katataras.
Ad and Kasatarash.
Yeah, Kasatarash. I thought they were a bit quicker than Wes, because I could see they were all still sort of 4 or 5 of them together, which really helped me, because I think if the other 2 or 3 had got ahead of Wes earlier, I don't think I'd have caught them. I think it'd have been too much. But I don't know. That was just mental. I'm knackered. Yeah.
Oh man, Mike, I'll let you ask the second question to whoever you pick.
Yeah, we'll take it in turns tonight, issue. Why not? But yeah, congratulations, Dom. Absolutely phenomenal drive, mate. And to do that in this software, you know, in these GT cars is no mean feat. You know, to have that kind of delta over people. So congratulations, mate. Great drive. I'm just gonna go to Rich if that's all right, Rich. And yeah, great drive, mate. Up into 7th position in the end. Looked like you just kept it nice and clean, nice and simple, and you got where you wanted to get.
Yeah, well happy with that result. I was a little bit disappointed at quali, to be fair, but yeah, kept it clean. Didn't put a foot wrong, to be honest. Consistent all the way through. Michael was, first stint I was chasing Mooney down and couldn't catch him. Noticed his tyres were starting to go off, and he pit 1 lap before me, and I just absolutely ragged the hell out of that Honda for that 1 lap that he put in, and I ended up coming out in front of him. And then he was just chasing me down. You know, every time I looked down, he was getting half a second closer. But I think he might have had some tyre issues because towards the end it just peeled off again. But yeah, well happy with that. Really happy.
Yeah, it looked good. It's great to see you settling in with the car, and yeah, a couple of good results, a couple of weeks in a row now. It gives you that bit of momentum for the season now, doesn't it? And that bit of confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, especially with the new league setup as well. I think I'm only one result in top 8 now to sort of come out of the AM league as such. So yeah, good points. Good looking for the championship. Yeah, really happy with that.
Awesome. Well done. Congrats, mate. And
thank you, mate.
Aaron, over to you. Pick a driver, any driver.
Cool. I'm going to go for our first, I think it's our first interview with Mr. Kingston in the other Aston Martin. So well done, bud. You look set for that race win until the last 10 minutes. Obviously a bit gutting for you, bud. So I've been there now, it feels. But considering you're carrying max ballast, you know, everything looks really strong for you this season. But we're just a bit baffled as to why you pitted so late. What happened there?
I ran out of fuel. I was 1 lap short.
Called it.
1 lap short. But yeah, I just want to say well done to Dom, man. What a race. He had such a consistent pace. And I think right after the battle in the beginning that I was having with the top 4, I saw Dom's name on the list. I was like, what is going on?
We saw him enter the same frame as the leaders, and I was just sat there like, I can't believe what I'm seeing. This isn't possible. Oh man, but I did feel for you, because to sort of lead for so long like you did, and in an endurance event as well, and have it taken away, it can be a bit cruel sometimes. So
yeah, I was literally 1 lap short, and as soon as Dom was like right on me, I noticed I was not going to have enough fuel. So I was trying to fight him for a bit, see if I could maybe get him to slow down, but yeah, I couldn't hold him. There's no way.
Well, still a very good P2, all considering, and like we say, running max ballast, so consider all sort of factors going against you, and you were still on for a very good result and showed very good pace, so well done, Mr. Kingston.
Yes, thank you, mate.
Over to you, Mike.
Yeah, Mr. Heaton. I've been purposely calling you Mike tonight just to annoy you, Aaron, because you kept getting your name wrong. But yeah, you got to be happy with that. I would imagine. You know, I suspect you probably would have been comfortably top 10, but you had a few issues early on. But came back to it, top 10 finish. Got to be happy with that.
Yeah, it's very much mixed emotions. First and foremost, Dom. Absolutely unreal race. Congratulations, mate. That was just next level. Like, you're not even human. But yeah, it's mixed emotions, because I'm happy to manage to get the top 10 by the skin of my teeth. Fortunate that other people had some issues. But a very frustrating and mostly lonely race. I was hoping for top 10. I was hoping to be up there battling with Rich, with Mooney, with Morris, like it was last week. And I think pace-wise, I was there.
Yeah.
But a couple of issues, a spin early on, and then a moment behind a back marker, and that's just inexperience of racing and being around other drivers, being fairly new, but hopefully that'll come with experience. So very much mixed emotions tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate. Don't be too hard on yourself. These things happen, and endurance races are a right old so and so to sort of get to grips with as well. And you've got to build that that endurance into your racing as well. In terms of actually building up your fitness almost to do it. So definitely don't be too hard on yourself. I totally understand the frustration. I've been there myself, but I thought you drove really well, particularly the second half of the race. You seemed to sort of settle down, and you're right. You definitely would have had the pace to be battling, for 6th, 7th, 8th if it wasn't for those early issues. But you kept at it. You didn't give up. Whereas it's quite easy to. I think my phrase was throw the steering wheel out the window and turn the PC off and never turn it on again. We've all had those tantrums from time to time, but definitely don't beat yourself up too much, mate. I thought it was a really good drive overall, and if you're new to it as well, then I think you're doing exceptionally well. So, and that's not that I'm much to judge. There's a reason I'm in the comms box and not in the driver's seat. But there we go. But no, well done, mate.
Thank you.
Well done.
I appreciate the kind words. Thank you. My screaming when I spun, I was not a happy man, but
yeah, we've all been there. We've all been there. It'll come, my friend. It'll come.
Cheers, boys.
Over to you, Aaron.
Well, I'll go to the second Honda driver, Mr. Alan Davies. Just didn't seem to quite click for you tonight. I can't remember because there was so much that we caught on stream. I can't remember if there was a little moment early on or not. But it just didn't seem to go your way tonight, Alan. Is that Honda proving a little bit trickier to master than the Ferrari?
No, definitely not. It's a breeze.
Much more confident.
No, it's a breeze compared to the Ferrari, and I'm enjoying driving it, which is the main thing. It's I can relax in it a lot more. I didn't practice much this week. It's been a busy week. I haven't been feeling great, so I was quite happy with quali. I was surprised. I think me and Rich ran the wrong way purely because I don't think Rich got the most out of his lap. I caused my own problems at the start, binned it on the corner and pushed myself to the back, and then had a couple of rear shunts from a couple of other drivers, but I caused myself those problems because I put myself back there with my own mistake. And after I pitted, it was a bit of a lonely race. I didn't have anyone really behind me. I didn't really have anyone ahead of me. I was trying to keep up with the two leaders just so I could watch. It was I had first class seats for that battle, and it was I was commentating on it to Rich as they were battling, which was it was a great battle and fair play to both of them. That was brilliant drives by both. And then Damo started to catch me, I think, towards the end because I was just in cruise mode, daydreaming, and thought I'd better put the hammer down for a couple of laps. But other than that, yeah, that's about it, really. Good fun.
We do. Me, myself, and Mike share the knowledge of driving the Honda, especially around here with that Kyalami endurance event that we participated in. So I do know how tricky it can be to race around Kyalami. It doesn't quite like the bumps, and it feels like the Aston Martin is definitely the car to be in. It almost, Mike commented on it saying it feels a bit like the BMW from season 1 in how sort of overpowered it is on curbs and bumps. So I know that it probably feels easier to drive, but I know that in the same breath that was probably a fairly difficult race for yourself and Rich tonight.
Yeah, I don't know if Rich agrees with me or not, but compared to the Ferrari, it's we always felt on the edge with the Ferrari, always sweating, always panicking, whereas like I said, I was managed to daydream the last 15 minutes and just go into cruise control, which is actually quite a nice feeling. So I think it's suiting our style.
Good, and I mean, Rich proved it last week with a good result, and no doubt we'll see it from yourself at some point in this season. So just keep it up and try and get that practice in.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
No problem.
Well, speaking of Honda, we'll go to a former Honda driver and a current Mercedes driver, of Mr. Mooney. And
hello.
Cheers for coming along. And so a first chance I think I've had to speak to you, but so you were in the Honda and now in the Merc. So you were quick in the Honda, mind.
Yeah, kind of wish I was still in the Honda at this race. I did look at this season and I just thought, you know what, the Honda is going to be strong. And I was talking to Rich and Davey just before the series began, and I was like, I I'm tempted to stay in the Honda. You know, lads. It's quick round them tracks. So yeah, just chasing Rich down all like with chasing the Honda is just an absolute nightmare in the Merc on this track. It was just so difficult. God, my arms are aching because of it as well.
Yeah,
terrible.
I mean that's what we were saying in commentary. It's one of those tracks where you get no respite, and it's an endurance race around this track is such a challenge because you haven't got particularly long straights to just rest and have that that 30-second break or whatever. It's just full on, isn't it, for 80 minutes?
It seriously is, and I knew the Merc was going to be a little bit slower than the Honda on this. I thought if I could just get in front of both of them, I'll be fine. Just keep them behind, it'll be good. And then when I got that pit stop, and I mucked up on the entry sort of thing, and I was a second late on it, so I lost a second. And just suddenly, when I came out, I was just surprised to see Rich about 2 seconds ahead of me. It was just a fight just to try and catch him up from there.
I mean, are you happy with, you've been sort of thereabouts, sort of just in the top 10 this season. Are you happy with that considering with the change of car?
Yeah, I'm happy with it. It's certainly a more consistent car. When I was in the Honda, I found when you were doing the fast lap times and that it does tend to get twitchy the faster you go in it. So the Mercs is definitely a bit more consistent and easier to handle.
Yeah, well, like I say, a stellar job so far this season, and I'm sure it'll get stronger as you get more used to the car as well. So well done to you. And
thank you.
No trouble at all, Aaron. I believe we have one driver left to interview.
We do, Mr. Foster. That looked to be going pretty well for yourself, considering I know obviously we spoke about how tricky that McLaren is this season, especially with the ballast added on. We did catch the moment you had with Wes on stream. Just wondering sort of what happened really, and how much damage you got, because it seemed to be that from that point on it was a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, well, I got the jump on Kingston right at the beginning. That was quite good. I was happy with that, and then managed to keep him behind. And then a couple of laps settled in, I pushed Wes, managed to do a big old dive into turn one, and then side by side going through 2, 3, whatever it is. And I thought I left him enough room on the right, but I'll have to check the replay. But yeah, I'm sure I left him enough room, and he just tagged my rear. Luckily, it was a small one, and the two guys got in front.
Yeah, we said on stream it didn't look malicious or anything like that. So
no, of course not. Wes would never do that maliciously to anyone. You got
we know that.
0.7 damage, but then we had an issue with a back marker. I don't know if you saw it.
We caught quite a bit of incidents.
He got right in the way with me and Karatash. I ended up smacking him really hard, like 4 seconds damage, which I didn't repair. And I overtook Karatarash after that as well.
There was about 4 or 5 moments involving Junior. I don't know. It might be something as easy as maybe he's just turning crew chief on, or something daft like that. But it just seemed to be that he was trying his hardest to get out of the way, but it seemed to be that it would be the wrong.
It was clumsy, wasn't it? As opposed to
it was very clumsy today. Yeah, well, he's brand new today, so. He only joined the Discord today, so I'll be having words with him, make sure he knows the rules and whatnot. But yeah, it was a good race. Dom, incredible drive again. And yeah, I'm happy with 4th considering the weight and how bad the car is here.
Did it not turn out to be P3 with...
P3, yeah, because Alex pitting, I saw him in the pits, like, oh, what's going on? Quick, flat. And he comes flying out the pits, and he's like 3 seconds behind me. I think he gained a second in that last lap on me. Get across the line.
Oh, man. It was a class race, so I'd really recommend watching it back, because we caught so much. And it was really... This is probably the funnest race. Even, obviously, sprint races are typically a bit more entertaining, but this was class to commentate on. I am so happy we caught this live and got it out live. It's been so good.
Glad you enjoyed.
Please watch it.
Yeah.
Glad you enjoyed. Next week we got Kota sprints, and just a little heads up, the weather will be on fire.
Ooh.
Lava track, like 43 track. So that's going to be more interesting. Tyres are going to burn out really quick for that one. So
Has
tune in
anybody
next week.
has anybody got the replay? Because I completely forgot to save the replay.
I have.
If you could pick, you can ping like the replay file, can't you?
I'll see what I can do. Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Thank you, man.
Yeah, those first sort of 30 minutes where you just had 5 cars separated by like 1.5 seconds. It was really special to watch. But yeah, I mean that pretty much brings ahead proceedings to an end. Thank you so much to those of you that have tuned in. Thanks as always to all of our drivers for taking part, and especially special thanks to those who've come into the comms box to speak to us. Like I say, it really does bring it to life for us, and we love speaking to you. It's been great. Sorry we've missed Dougie this week, but like I say, it was my week off last week. Dougie's this week. Aaron will be finding an excuse to have a week off next week, I'm sure. But he's not doing anything as exciting as I was doing last week, that's for sure. But yeah, thanks for joining us. It's been absolutely exceptional tonight, especially for an endurance race. It's just been another level. So an absolute pleasure to call the shots as usual, and we look forward to a red hot COTA next week. Same time, same place. We'll see you then.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for the comms.
Thanks, guys. Well done.